Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Forgotten Fields Project. I'm Robin Reed alongside Tara Williamson, and guess what happened when we weren't looking? Fall came just around the corner. What a change of season that is. We're talking about that, and we're talking about spirits that might show up around this time of year as well. We'll put it all together for you in just a moment. Well, Tara, it got cold. I woke up this morning and it was 30-nothing degrees. How about you?
I think it may have been first frost today. I was maybe wondering if you had some type of intel.
Well, around here, little nooks and crannies get colder than other nooks and crannies, so I wouldn't be surprised if somebody had some frost, especially over in the highlands by now. But I think widespread, it was pretty darn chilly, and it made for some interesting scenery that I want to talk about in a moment. But first, a real quick update on the farming situation and the weather situation. We'll begin with the fact that we're on this new season, and it got cool pretty quickly. And so I don't want to talk about my farming season at all, but I do want to find out what's happening on yours, both fun and challenging, as it turns out.
Well, it's been a drought, as you know. Hopefully you predicted. I don't know, you're out of the game now, so I'm not sure. So it was wet there for a while, of course, in the summer, and it's just been such a horrible dry spell. So my great big pumpkin stuff, that did not actually come to fruition. Little fruit, tiny little fruition. Tiny. 9-inch diameter fruition. Besides that, the corn has been great. Glass Gym we just harvested. Just harvested another round yesterday. Absolutely beautiful. First time growing it, gorgeous. The corn still freaks me out, though. It's beautiful. I mean, it stands, some of this stuff is between 6-9 feet tall.
Yeah.
But just the sound it makes, I understand it's beautiful, but just hearing it just rustle, it's just a little Children of the Corn for me.
How did you make it through your childhood with those kind of movies?
That's why I'm still a child. I did it. I don't know. I think I might have saw it just a little too young too. But so, I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I love the smells. Everything's just changing slowly. The animals, they get a little bit more excited too. So Bo loves this stuff. This is prime. A little
friskier for them to do their thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned the drought briefly. You should say that slowly, Robin. It seems to be affecting everybody, but in slightly different ways. And I overheard Tom, your husband, talking about it last night at a meeting we were at. And it seems that the drought has affected him in ways that are a little discouraging right now.
You have to tell me what he said. Sometimes I tune him out. What did he say?
He said he was seeding, this here and there and putting stuff in the ground.
Yes. I think it was also that we were depending on some of the weather calls this week too to perhaps be a little bit different, but the models did not line up. And so that was something else separate I was going to ask you, that you can also maybe edit out.
I love the fact that you're blaming the models. That's good. Well, I appreciate that.
Well, I don't know. I'm just wondering if it seems like it's perhaps more AI generated recently. I'm not sure, but it hasn't been lighting up as accurately. Some of us depend on those.
That could be podcast number 20 at the rate we're going here. So let's see what happens with that. So yes,
we are depending because we have to seed and plant over one and get the seed drill and plant over one field. So we're seeing how this frost, if it was a frost, kind of affects that.
Yeah, very challenging. Everything okay with the physicality of the farm? I thought I heard something about water pipes or water hoses or something.
Yes. We did have one water line that has been busted. Has been busted since the fire, when the fire trucks went over top of it. So we finally took the time to unearth it, which was, oh my God, absolutely insane. The ditch witch can only get to a certain point, and then you have to dig out the ditch by hand, which fell to me with the tin can. So it was very Escape from Alcatraz type, out there with, at least it wasn't a spoon. So we almost dug away with a spoon, but that was about 6 hours one day digging away.
Okay.
But all memories. Well, we'll laugh about it.
Oh, I'm laughing now, so that works out well for me. So you know that this is folklore season for a lot of reasons. People like to guess about the weather, and they will even leave little caterpillars called woolly worms an opportunity to have their say, which I don't think they bargained for. You've got snowfall contests at the local media, first pick the first snowfall or pick the first inch or whatever, and so people want to do that. You have the hideous pumpkin spice lattes out there this time of year for, and as someone who tried to grow pumpkins, that's just painful. You like them?
You don't put pumpkin spice?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to make them home. I don't get to leave the house. Okay, here's the thing. All right, listen up about these pumpkin spice lattes, okay?
Okay.
I understand they get a lot of hate. I understand that.
Yeah.
And I'm probably the least, ask Tom, right? He probably thinks I have some gender dysmorphia thing. I love those freaking things. I don't care what type of hate they get. I don't care. I'm allowed to like it. Have you ever had a pumpkin pie with just pumpkin?
Yeah.
With just pumpkin. No spices in it, just pumpkin.
Maybe not.
Right. Have you ever tasted just plain squash?
I try not to.
Tastes like It doesn't taste good. With the addition, no, listen, hear me out. With the addition of the pumpkin spice, and you get that cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, that little warmth. Now you're talking, now you got that freaking nostalgia, that warmth. So I don't care. Pumpkin spice latte, whatever. Has nothing, I don't know. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to stand, one thing I'm actually going to stand up for. I don't care.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Williamson.
You can edit all of that out. That's the one thing I like. I even literally take a cinnamon stick and I will break it and put it in our little Mr. Coffee maker, right? Just to give them a little bit of something, just to get just a hint of something going through it to steep.
Okay. I'm pretty sure our guest is now fearful that she showed up today after we just did that. So
I'm sorry, Lynsey.
Let's find out. We are really, really pleased to have someone who I've known for a long time in different venues, but Lynsey Allie is involved very much with the historic Fincastle folks. She has come in and made a lot of things happen, and when we go to events, she's very often sitting there or leading the way or doing something. And most recently, we've been spending a lot of time with Lynsey on, are they Wednesday nights? Are they Thursday nights? What days do we do this? I keep forgetting.
The rooftop, yeah. 1 year it was Thursday, and this year it was Wednesdays.
And what we're talking about is ghost stories and ghost tales and many adult type stories that are really historical and worth talking about. But Lynsey, welcome to the podcast. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
Oh gosh, a little bit about myself. So I'm the executive director for Botetourt County Historical Society, and I started that gig in September 2020. The height of a global pandemic is always the time to start a new job. And I was also working full-time still at the Historical Society of Western Virginia in Roanoke, and I was there for 7 years total. So I'm just in it to win it, I guess, this history game. And I am here today because Teresa and Robin invited me.
Well, thank you for accepting. We appreciate that. So a lot of things have been going on, and let's just go ahead and do some of the work that you're leading up to now. The historic Fincastle Ghost Walk comes up, and tell us a little bit about, is there some history to that? Has that been going on for a while? Are you guys resurrecting it? Where does that lay?
Yeah, it was done. When I first started, I thought that would be a nice activity. People love ghosts, people love spooky things. And so I was wanting to do that. And I was told that 10 years ago, that was a thing that Tim Miller was doing with the schools, and the students were kind of running that. And it just sort of fell
through
by
the
wayside.
Yeah.
And, so I did work with Tim and Lisa with Muddy Squirrel, and we brought it back in 2022. I think was our first year, sort of that post-COVID, we can get back out and do stuff. So we've been doing it since then, and it's sold out every year. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So tell, obviously we want to know some of the stories and how, what is one of, in our time, what is the oldest one that you know of?
The oldest.
Yes, they go back, these stories date back to what? And we're specifically talking about the town of Fincastle, I'm assuming, with this. Yeah,
I would think, I'm trying, you put me on the spot. Oh gosh. I think the Tuckers, Paul and Terry Tucker, they live right next door to the museum, and their house is supposedly very, very haunted.
Okay.
That was the old Figgett house, and it was James Figgett, I believe is his name. He was the brother of Charlie Figgett, the notorious embezzler.
Okay.
That fled Botetourt and all that. And I'm not sure who exactly haunts that house. I don't know if it's Mr. Figgett himself or someone else, but I know that they were on the ghost tour, the haunted history tour that very first year, and they told the story. And yeah, but I know that is apparently a very, very haunted house.
Okay.
Lots of things happening.
Can you tell us the most popular one in Fincastle story?
I think that
one.
you know, the Tucker's house. Yeah, I think that is one that a lot of folks know. I'm trying to think of the other ones that are here. There's a Revolutionary War soldier that apparently roams the Presbyterian church
Okay.
graveyard, supposedly.
Very cool.
I have not seen him, so I cannot confirm or deny such things. But I mean, Revolutionary War soldier, he's probably been hanging out there for a long time. So
yes. Yeah. So is there any kind of writings or literature, evidence letters that kind of go along with these stories when the claims?
I am not sure. I don't think the Tuckers, like, I don't know if they have had anything, like, come across anything at their home. They were included in, like, one of those books, the compilation, like, you know, Ghosts of Southwest Virginia or something.
Yeah.
You know, so they were included in that. But as far as, like, original documents and stuff, I have not come across anything. And I know Laine's coming on later, so I don't know if she can talk to that, but, you know.
But you've seen these are very popular with people. They sell out every single year.
Yeah.
Okay. So why do you think they're coming? What's kind of drawing them to it? Humans are obsessed with ghost stories.
People love a spooky, creepy time.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Now, I was trying to think, is it just the act of being scared? Or what I was thinking, no, I mean, it's just me just to the ether, right?
Yeah.
But I was thinking, is it because maybe its actions have consequences for humans? We're so scared that after this time, right, after this brief, whatever type of existence we have here, we're afraid that that's going to just disappear. But the fact that there are hauntings is something that there are consequences.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe
that's it. I don't know.
I don't know. We're clinging to something.
I think, you know, we do the History After Dark lecture series, and it talks about, like, the shady history, the macabre history, things like that. And that also sells out. There's just something about, like, the taboo things, like the weird things that just draw people
perhaps
in.
There's something worse than what we are. I think we want to justify and make sure that there's, maybe I'm not so bad. I want to learn about this stuff. This guy embezzled. At least I haven't done that. I've screwed up my taxes, but I haven't done that. You know? Huh.
So I don't know.
Very cool. What's the coolest one to you? Or the one that really resonates with you, that makes you feel really fun?
The story that I, like, am always blown away by, it's not necessarily a ghost story, but the Mad Gasser of Botetourt County.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you guys know that one?
No, Tom's lactose intolerant, so maybe. I don't know.
So back in, like, the 30s, I think, 40s, these, like, gas attacks, like, were happening. Like, I think the first one was in Cloverdale, and they were, like, the family was home at night, and they heard a noise outside, and, like, they thought someone was coming to, like, steal cattle or something, so they went outside and didn't see anything, and they went back in, and there was this, like, smell in their house, and, like, the daughter, like, almost died, and it was, like, this whole thing, and it happened, like, in Cloverdale, Troutville. I mean, it was kind of, like, all over the county, and it happened for just, like, a 3-week span, like, these attacks, and then they just, like, stopped. It was never solved. I don't know. I just think that's so weird that somebody, quote unquote, somebody.
And what type of gas was it?
I think some kind of, it was like mustard gas almost. It was some sort of, like, chloride, some kind of, I don't know.
And what year?
Like the 30s, 40s.
Interesting.
Yeah. And see, no one really knows about that. And I'm like, that's so bizarre that that, like, unsolved mystery happened. And then I think, like, 10 years later, it happened. The exact same thing happened in, like, Illinois. It was, like, the exact same scenario. So it's like, oh, did those people move, or whoever was doing that? Did they move from, like, Botetourt to Illinois and just...
Interesting. Is there anybody investigations into all of this?
I mean, the police were, like, called out, and they would find, like, footprints, but they never were able to, like, apprehend anybody. At one point, they saw someone, like, drive off in, like, a car and stuff, but they could never catch the vehicle. And, you know, it's just so wild to me.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, not necessarily a ghost story, but weird.
Do you ever get any feelings when you're anywhere specifically, or?
The museum is haunted.
Okay. All right.
The building that we're in now, it is the Gray House is what it's called.
Okay.
And, Reverend Gray built it. That's why they call it that. It's not actually gray. outside. But, I've heard like footsteps to the point that I thought like one of my board members had come in another entrance and was like walking through, and I was like waiting. I was like, where are they? Are they coming in?
Yeah. And
like nobody was there. We've had lights. I have video from one of our security cameras where like a light turned on and off.
Yeah.
And they're like motion censored, so like I know no one was in there.
So actual
but yeah, it
evidence.
turned on and off. Yeah, I've got video of that. Like knocking, like there was a time that like really loud, like 4 like real distinct knocks, like that I've never heard before or since. Yeah, just like that, like real loud. Don't know, but yeah, like kind of weird things happen there.
Interesting.
And Laine can, I don't know, she might talk about it, but she has visited the museum and she's found ghosts.
Yeah.
In there.
Okay.
Like spirits. So she can talk more about that.
So
Getting real creepy.
that just might be bone on bone arthritis. We're not sure. They could just be picking it up on the mic.
Gosh.
We're not sure. I don't know.
Edit that part out.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my god.
That last part there.
Oh god. Jeez.
Oh, geez.
So these things sell out every year in Fincastle. And is it mostly attracting Fincastle or Botetourt residents, or is it people from all over that just want
It's a good mix.
stuff? Okay.
It's a good mix. A lot of folks come from like Roanoke and Salem.
Okay.
But yeah, there's some Botetourt folks like mixed in as well.
All
But
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I would love to go on one of these ghost tours.
Isn't this an amazing thing? I think it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased that you could come today and just kind of, I think you should be charging admission then for the museum in a different way. So in order to get into the haunted museum, it should be a couple bucks just to walk through the door.
Here we go.
Forget the information. And so a small fundraiser off to the side, right?
Yes.
I think you should also kind of, I don't want to irritate
Since when?
spirits or anything. Oh, that is true. Yes,
That's right.
I forgot I had no limits. But if you were to kind of not amp up or amplify, but keep these on the radar, these stories, do you think perhaps that could kind of preserve these other buildings in Fincastle
Maybe.
from being altered or, I don't know, taken down?
Maybe.
Okay.
Our old museum building that we were in, that was recently taken down.
Yeah.
It was also haunted.
Okay, so maybe we'll see
Heard some weird things in that building as well.
So maybe there will be repercussions. I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. So, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of spirits in Fincastle that maybe we don't even necessarily know about. So, I don't know.
Very
But,
cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, another reason to come to Botetourt County, Fincastle, or the surrounding areas because we're haunted as all get out.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Tara, we come to an exciting part of the show right now because we have a really, really special person. Laine Crosby is with us, and Laine knows a little something about ghosts and many other things we suspect. Laine, we welcome you to the program. How are you today? Where are you, and what are you doing?
Thank you so much. I am happy to be here. I am at home in Durwood, Maryland. I live on an old plantation outside of Washington, D.C.
So your bio was absolutely fascinating when I was reading about it online. And you said right now you're still living on the plantation up there.
Yes.
And this is where you kind of had the awakening and getting into the abilities and that first call and pull?
Absolutely. This was the place. And
how did that go? How was that pull? Or how did you actually find out that what you were experiencing was really to answer that call?
Well, the long story I wrote in a book, Investigative Medium, The Awakening, which is available on Amazon. It would take me a while to explain, but it was just when I moved here, I moved from Atlanta, and I was working in a tower downtown. I was living inside the city limits. Everything was loud. And when I came here, everything was so quiet. I couldn't sleep at night because of the sound of silence. And then I just started hearing a voice talking to me. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm crazy. And then when I realized I wasn't crazy, then I thought, oh no, I can't take a pill and make it go away. So I heard the spirit of a slave talking to me, telling me who she was, telling me about this plantation. And my husband came home and I freaked him out by telling him the story. And I went down to the Historical Society, which is right down the street. I didn't even know it was there. It was, it's an old building with the archaeologists and historians. And I just went up to the door, and the county historian opened the door. And I said, what happened here? I'm hearing voices. And I thought, man, I just sound crazy. And he said, it's very haunted here. And a Fox News van had just left. They were filming for Halloween. So that's kind of how it started. I was able to do a lot of work with talking to the spirits in my home, and then confirming it by going and looking up records at the courthouse.
Okay.
And then I met historian Mark Nesbitt in Gettysburg as he came down to work with the archaeologists down here. And I met him, and he brought me up to Gettysburg. And I worked with a couple other psychics up there, and we'd all go out on the battlefield and get different things at different times. And then he would compare. And so I knew that my abilities were really real. I was getting what other people were getting, and then they just grew from there. They took off.
Okay.
And I worked on it more. And I've done a lot of things since then. I've become a shaman, a Reiki and bioenergy healer, and studied astrology, just kind of all of this.
Okay. All right. So you've had the call, and you've fully answered it now.
Yeah, I wanted it to go away. Believe me, I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy knowing things before they would happen. I wasn't happy with all of the ghosts that came to the house to talk to me because of this ability. But I had to make peace with it. I had no other choice.
So the journey from that side to want to communicate and find somebody to bridge that gap into this plane then.
Well, I figured out, I love history, and my dad was a historian. So it really came naturally to me. And we lived on a Civil War battlefield. We lived on the where the Battle of Atlanta was. And I just realized when I grew up, I was always hearing voices and hearing things outside and thinking that people were walking by our house. And it was only many years later that I realized as a child, I was probably hearing ghost because of where we were located. I wasn't used to everything in Atlanta has a big sign on it. There's history everywhere because of the battles and the Civil War. And when I moved here, there's still a lot of history. So I've just been fascinated by history my whole life. From the time I could talk, my dad had me scrubbing tombstones and doing genealogical work in courthouses. So this came very naturally to me, and it just made me realize I can time travel. I can go back and I can talk to people who actually lived these lives.
It sounds like it almost rooted in your respect for them and their lives too. Starting at a young age, you were going there and already respecting cleaning the graves. So it was having an interest. Reacting to the fun part. Okay. So you're emotionally available in that aspect, and they sense that. Okay.
Yeah. And, we found my Lynsey Crosby, which is my 7th great grandfather. No one could find his grave. And I was able to find that grave. And perhaps somebody was talking to me or nudging me in where to go. But I was just a young child, and my father was just amazed. I also found some other graves. I was like, let's go to this hill down the street. And he was like, what? And Fincastle. The moment we went to the James Early cabin, there was and Lynsey remembers this, the rocking chair started rocking. I was like, wow, look at that. The rocking chair is rocking. And it was like in the next room. And I walked over there and I said, are you trying to scare me? Because I run towards this kind of thing. I'm not scared by this. And the guy who was doing the rocking said, oh, no, we just wanted to let you know we were here. And that guy was named David Thomas Samuel. And he had lived during the 1700s. And because I could hear him so well, some people I hear better than others. And it has to do with everything in this dimension has its own physical vibration. I have a vibration. The door has a vibration. I can't go through the door, but ghosts can go through the door, through the wall because of how they vibrate. Well, David was loud to me. So I said, David, do did you come here often? He's, oh, yeah, he came here all the time. He was a surveyor and his father was a lawyer. And I said, well, would you kind of stick with us through the tour? And then you could help introduce me or tell me stories that I can't hear from other people if they're trying to reach me. He said, oh, yeah, I'd love to do it. So for the next couple of visits, he was our tour guide. And he was a young guy in his early 30s, really handsome with dark hair, and he was dressed like you would expect a man of the 1700s to dress. He died because he got a hatchet to the knee, and yeah, and he left 3 kids because his wife, 4 kids, I think, because his wife had died in childbirth right before that.
Yeah, I think something like that. 3 or 4 kids.
Yeah, maybe 3. But he was interesting. So he actually followed us back to my cousin Betty's house that night. She'd be so happy about that. I said, well, I forgot to tell you to leave and I'll meet you back at the...
Yeah.
And he was, okay, he was very happy to do that.
There's so many cool stories that we've collected in Fincastle. So yeah, there's a bunch.
There was a guy who had taken his own life who was hanging out across the street from the pie shop.
The Luster Building.
The Luster Building, yeah. And he was born in 1940, so he didn't die until the 80s. But he was a bus driver in Richmond. And you know what it's like to be a bus driver. There's a lot of anxiety, and it's a hard job. And he ended up taking his own life. And so he just sort of hung out there. We met a bartender in spirit on top of the pie shop.
Yeah.
And he was from, I think, Arkansas, and he traveled down the railroad because there's a lot of energy with those railroad tracks because the train goes over them. So it's easy where there's energy for ghosts to materialize and to move around. And he just came down there and he found Fincastle, and he was upstairs at the bar, and he welcomed me when I came in, and he even gave us a drink recipe.
He did.
Made.
I agree.
What did you think of that, Lynsey?
It was very strong. It was a very strong drink. So he knew what he was doing.
As at the Kyle house.
Yep.
There were so we went to the Kyle house, and there was a nice man there, and I also met a man who was looking for his wife and kids. And then I went upstairs, and there was another man there, and I talked to him for a while and would cross them over into heaven because they were kind of stuck. But he told me, don't go upstairs. Well, when somebody tells a psychic, don't go upstairs,
it was a very negative place. Laine was like, well, we got to go upstairs.
Yeah, we had a beeline up there. And I forgot, since I used to go do this and argue with spirits, and you even see me on the Ghost Brothers, having a bit of a tantrum with some spirits there. Since then, I've become a shamanic practitioner and find that I can get other spirits to help me. I don't have to do all the work myself. But at this moment, I was so excited. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was heading up the stairs, and I got up there, and there was this really strong negative energy, and somebody came running up on me, and I told them to back off me, and they told me they would push me down the stairs and not to think that they couldn't. And then my guides, I have guides on spirit on the other side, and they swooped in and said, you don't need to be doing this by yourself. Back off. We'll handle it. We'll take care of it. We'll get rid of it all, which they did. But I didn't really know who they were or why they were there. But I think that when there are negative humans, that also attracts negative non-human entities.
Mm-hmm.
And for whoever has bought the Kyle house now, they do not need to worry. It is cleansed.
Well, and I will say, remember, Laine, after your visit there and you had that experience, the people that were in the Kyle house emailed me and were like, I don't know what you guys did. Can you tell me what you did? Because the activity here, remember that? And the activity has skyrocketed.
Oh no.
You were here and we need you to make it stop.
They're pretty mad at me, and that's when I think
it's okay.
spirits over. It's like, oh no. And I have a book on how to make it stop too. And I can do that. I can help calm it down. But I don't always think about that when I'm doing that. But the ghosts are really chatty. And when they get somebody to talk to them, it's wonderful. I mean, after I moved in here and started talking to the ghosts, I started seeing apparitions of them. And I'm like, this won't do. Because it scares me. I mean, I turn around and see somebody there, and I think it's somebody who's a physical person. And I don't go to that it's a ghost, because that wouldn't bother me. But having a physical person standing on my stairs, when I'm supposed to be home alone, that's a little scary. But there are ghosts everywhere, and especially where there are people. And do you know that friend of yours that you have that's really chatty and you can never get off the phone? A lot of them are like that. Especially the two women that are over at Bobby Bowman's Main Street B&B.
They had all the hot goss. Spilling tea.
Yeah. They had, first of all, I walked in and I introduced myself and sat down with Bobby and her husband. And it was interesting because Bobby said, well, I can tell you where to go, but we don't have any ghosts here. And a spirit by the name of Winnie, this pretty yellow dress and a white apron, was standing right behind her. And she goes, hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Winnie. I said, Bobby, Winnie is standing right behind you. And, I can speak aloud so other people can hear me. In my head, I said to her, give me something that I can tell Bobby so that she believes me. And she said something like, I really like your rack of lamb that she makes on Easter. And she likes the lemon pie that she makes and the smells in the kitchen. And then she said, upstairs in the room where there is a bathtub with clawed feet, there are two women and they're busybodies. They just gossip about everybody. So they were spirits, obviously, but on my next trip, I had to go upstairs and meet them. And Bobby showed me the room with the clawed bathtub. And these women were a hoot. These were the ones that gossiped, and
they were like arguing with each other, right? Weren't they like kind of back and forth? Like, no, that's what happened.
They were. And one of them followed I think Bobby or her husband to a town meeting.
Yeah.
Before, where there had been some sort of a disagreement, as I put that in quotes. Apparently may have been some argument or may have been a disagreement, and they told me about it. And so they also, one of them was, the older one was a little bit more prudish, and she did watch TV with Bobby, and she liked Bridgerton, I am sure, because she said she did watch Bridgerton. She never missed an episode. It was just scandalous.
These spirits, do they have any message that they want us to know? Would they like us to think a different way about how we live? Is there anything that we could learn in this lifetime, maybe?
We all have so much support on the other side, not only from our guides and people who I'm not talking about ghosts who just want to help us. I'm talking about guides and angels and family. And they all want us to get through this life and to do what we set out to do before we came here. Because we're all spiritual beings. And we start out in heaven and we come down and we live this life. And then when we die, we go back to being a spiritual being again. And for some people, that transfer of physical to spiritual is difficult because they only see themselves as a physical person. They don't see themselves as a spiritual person. And those are often the ghosts that are here. They stay here with their friends, with their family, and there may be unfinished business like we see in the movies. But with all of them, I found out that when they were alive, I don't think they really regarded themselves as spiritual beings and realized that they would go back and they should go back into the spiritual world and move on. So I call that sort of the lie. We as spiritual beings find it easy to move back. And when people come to me and their family has crossed over, and most people's families have crossed over when they have died. Sometimes it might take a little longer than other times, but they make it over. and then they can come back. So the only difference I see between the spirits who are ghosts and those who have crossed over is that they can come back and forth, and they understand the broad nature of what is spirituality and how to move on and how to not really be stuck and sort of think about the materialism that is in the world today, but think about things on a grander scale.
Hey, Laine, it's been really great chatting with you. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere at all, because we'll continue the conversation. But hope you have a great day, and I hope it's very successful for you, whatever you're doing.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here with you both, and thank you for having me.
Whew, Tara, I am exhausted. October in Botetourt County is exciting for all sorts of reasons.
Tell me.
Well, no, just what we just went through with Laine. I mean, she told us everything we didn't know, and now we'll be thinking about incessantly in the coming weeks.
Yes. I think
It'll be great. It'll be great. And it sort of brings new meaning to stories. You're a good story watcher. You've seen a few good things. You've thought about a lot of good things. You're a deep thinker as places go. So if you'll allow me, I would like to read just a short story based primarily on Santa Laine. Could you tell our audience what Santa Laine really means if they don't know what it is?
Santa Laine is, from what I understand, a historic house, maybe plantation. I'm not exactly sure. Down on the way, very close to the town, I guess in the town limits of Fincastle. Mm-hmm. And now it's the house is still there. So It's part of the farm, but there's a development there, as all wonderful things happen in Botetourt. And yeah.
What was the famous part about it historically that people now remember that involved a certain expedition across the country?
I'm assuming this was a Lewis and Clark, apparently one of our only claim to fame.
You passed the test for today. Outstanding.
Sweat was in my eyes.
All right, here's how this connects. Are you ready? So what I'd like to do is read The Ghost of Santa Laine. Kind of a spooky story. It was edited by Anita Firebaugh, and it came from stories that were published in Botetourt County newspapers a long, long time ago. At one time, the Hancock family lived at Santa Laine. Judith Hancock married the famous explorer William Clark. The beauty of the Hancock girls was talked about by many. One of the Hancock girls did not fare as well as Judith, however. The unfortunate Hancock lass was engaged to a Fincastle man. He left town to seek his fortune, and they planned to marry upon his return. Although many men tried to marry her in his absence, she refused and faithfully waited for him to return. Every night, she stood by an upstairs window, and as she watched for her love to return, she stroked her long blonde hair. He never came back, and she died of a broken heart. She can be seen on special nights, standing at the upstairs window, stroking her hair, and waiting for the lover who would not return. My co-host has very long hair. Do you spend time at night stroking it by the window and looking outside and seeing anything weird?
I have no free time, especially for little shit like that. But yeah.
What like that? Editing. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Tell me something interesting about your place, or tell me a story.
Well, definitely had experiences up in Northern Virginia, but I grew up very close to Muir Ridge, technically on Muir Ridge. So, and very close to the battlefields. We used to go there about every single weekend. Down here, there's a lot in the house for sure. Nothing bad at all. There is one fascinating one upstairs, a Native American guy. We found a ton of arrowheads when we were digging up the front yard for a project. And throughout history, that's the way the water flows and the way the land lays. It is beautiful hunting ground. So it's always been fantastic hunting ground. It's still a great place for animal crossing as everything continues to get developed and the animals are pushed there more and more for water, of course. And he did tell us that there was a skirmish, some type of massacre there a very long time ago, maybe very late 1700s, and his wife and his son were killed, and he was left. And he gave us a warning, and he said that the white man will try to take your property. And then he said after that, they will try to take it again. He said, do not let them take it again. And it kind of scared the hell out of us because about less than a year later, sure enough, that property behind us that used to be Tom's great-great-grandfather was going to be developed. And we fought tooth and nail and had to write a letter and get VDOT support, and we shut it down. And it's still an agricultural use, and that happened that time. And it'll probably happen again. And he said he would send out the great bear spirit to the four corners, and he would do everything possible to help us. And we're gonna heed that warning, and we'll be looking out. But fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
And somehow the title of our podcast comes to life, and somehow we begin to see the passion for people that have been around old buildings, old expressions, old experiences.
Well, we're all sharing this together. I mean, it is a type of universal consciousness, right? So we're adding our own stories back again and again and again, and hopefully we learn from whatever time this happened, and hopefully we add our own lessons, and we don't make the same mistakes over and over. Isn't this all this is a learning experience for us to bring back for the next time?
It is. And speaking of learning, if you go to the Botetourt Historical Museum, located in beautiful downtown Fincastle, right on Main Street, you can learn all these things. Just wander in some days and see what the docents have to tell you, and you may go away a little bit richer and a little bit smarter.
Oh, sign me up. Yeah, God.
The executive producer of Forgotten Fields is Teresa Reed. Interview segments are conducted by Tara Williamson. Our resident mythbuster is Tom Williamson. For Robin Reed, resident meteorologist and broadcast engineer, we hope you'll join us next time.